Okay, so far you've been introduced to complex numbers. We will look at how to add and take away two complex numbers. We look at how to use them to solve quadratic equations. We're now going to look at how to multiply some complex numbers. So the first thing I want to remind you was that I, the imaginary number, was square root minus 1. So that means that I squared must be minus 1. So we're going to use that. So I'm going to try and leave it there. I've got enough space. So I'm going to now multiply two complex numbers together. 2 plus 3i and 4 plus 5i. Okay, I'm going to expand the bracket just like you would with any bracket. So with 2 plus 3x and 4 plus 5x, just expand as normal. So you use your grid, use the arrow method. However you expand your brackets, you do that. I don't like FOIL. I'm trying to avoid FOIL. It doesn't work when you have 3 terms in the bracket. So 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 5i is 10i. 3i times 4 is 12i. And 3i times 5i, well, I've got 15i squared. Okay, so I've got a real number, imaginary, and something that's imaginary squared. But we know I squared is minus 1. So 15 times I squared is 15 times minus 1. So that's minus 15. So 8 plus 10i plus 12i minus 15. So now I can simplify it. So the real bits first. 8 and minus 15 gives me minus 7. 10i and 12i gives me 22i. Okay, let's try another one. 7 minus 4i squared. So remember, I can't just square the numbers individually. I have to expand the bracket because that means 7 minus 4i, 7 minus 4i. You might know the quick trick of squaring the bracket, or you might just want to do it bit by bit. So let's just do bit by bit. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times minus 4i is minus 28i. Minus 4i times 7 is another minus 28i. And minus 4i times minus 4i is plus 16i squared. Remember, I squared was minus 1, so we get 49 minus 28i minus 28i minus 16. Now we can simplify it. So the real bits, 49 take away 16 is 33. Minus 28i minus another 28i gives me minus 56i. Okay, now the next bit I want to look at is we're going to try and have a nice little pattern. So I am going to rip this bit out now and write that at the side instead. So we've got I to the power 1, it's just I squared is minus 1. Now we're going to look at what I cubed is. So I cubed, well, I can write that as I times I times I. And I know that 2 i's together, so I squared, gives me minus 1. So I've got minus 1 times I, that's just minus I. So I cubed is minus I. Okay, let's look at I4. So I to the power 4 means 4 i's. So that gives me, well, if I put 3 of them together, that gives me minus I. So I've got minus I times an I, which gives me minus I squared, which gives me minus 1, which gives me 1. So I to the 4 gives me 1. Okay, let's just do one more. So I to the 5 means 5 i's. I times I times I times I times I. But again, we know 4 of these i's gives me 1 times I 1 times I is just I. So I to the 5 is going to give me I. And it's going to be patterned to this. And it's going to end on one more. 2I to the power 5. Well, remember, if there's something in a bracket, two things timed together to a power, I can do 2 to the 5 times I to the 5. And 2 to the 5 is 32. I to the 5, we said, is I, so it's 32I. Yeah, eventually we're going to be able to get the skills to work out stuff like I to the half, etc., I to the -1. But for now, we're just looking at these powers. Okay, try the questions and see how we get on.